All right, let's dive in. Today, we're taking a deep look at one of the most talked about, most watched companies on the entire planet, Tesla. But we're not going to talk about the latest stock price swings or a new car model. No, we're talking about something happening inside the company. A story about a full-blown exodus. A steady stream of the very people who built Tesla into what it is today.
So the big question is, what is going on here? Why are the architects of Tesla's massive success suddenly just heading for the exits? It's a question that has Wall Street, the auto industry, and frankly, all of us watching very, very closely. And it really hints that there's something much deeper happening behind the curtain. Okay, so first, let's get a handle on the scale of this. You need to understand this is not your normal everyday corporate turnover. Not even close. What we're seeing is a really significant, sustained departure of top-tier talent. And when you see that pattern, it tells you there's probably a deep, systemic issue at play. And that is the absolute key. This isn't just a few people leaving for new jobs. The source material calls it a brain drain, and that's the perfect term for it. Because Tesla isn't just losing employees. It's losing decades of irreplaceable knowledge. The institutional memory, the very DNA of how the company works, is walking right out the door.
And I mean, just look at this list of who's leaving. We're talking about heavy hitters. Drew Beglino, a 17-year veteran, the guy behind their groundbreaking powertrain and energy work. Rohan Patel, the vice president of public policy. Zach Kirkhorn, the former CFO, the steady hand everyone called the master of coin. Jerome Gillen, the former president of their entire automotive division. These aren't just managers. These were foundational pillars of the company. And this is just a short list. There are dozens more who've left.
So this begs the billion-dollar question, right? Why? Why are they all walking away? Well, according to the sources we're explaining, the answer seems to trace back to one person, and to the really unique and often incredibly challenging culture that surrounds him. You could call it the Elon Effect. And this Elon Effect really seems to boil down to three big things. First, there's the grind. We're talking a relentless 24/7 work culture where burnout isn't just a risk, it's almost seen as inevitable. Second, you have what you could call whiplash decisions. Imagine, one day the entire company is going all in on a low-cost car, and then seemingly overnight that's scrapped, and the new mandate is robotaxis. These huge shifts are often followed by sudden, massive layoffs. And third, there's the X distraction. With the CEO's attention so clearly divided, there are real questions inside and outside the company about who is actually steering the ship at Tesla day to day.
You know, former employees have described it like being on a roller coaster. You get the dizzying highs of working for a true visionary, but then you have the crushing lows of his total unpredictability. And for years, for many people, that thrill, that high, it was absolutely worth it. But it seems that for a growing number of these key leaders, the ride just isn't worth the price of admission anymore.
So what really happens when all that expertise, all those years of experience, walk out the door? Well, it's a lot more than just a PR headache or a few bad headlines. It creates what the source describes as a genuine crisis of knowledge. And that puts Tesla's very ability to innovate and execute at serious risk.
Just think about it for a second. When a 17-year veteran like Drew Beglino leaves, you don't just lose an employee. You lose almost 2 decades of knowledge. Every hard-won lesson, every failed experiment that taught them what not to do, every critical design choice that lives only in his head. You can't just hire a new person to replace that. That expertise is just gone, forever.
Then you've got the ripple effect inside the company. Imagine you're still working there. You see your mentors, your leaders, the people you look up to, all jumping ship. You can't help but start wondering, right? The question becomes unavoidable. If they're leaving with all their influence and their stock options, should I be looking for the exit too? It's a massive, massive blow to morale and retention.
And finally, of course, Wall Street notices. Big time. Investors value stability. They hate uncertainty. So when the person who's widely seen as the adult in the room, like the former CFO Zach Kirkhorn, suddenly quits, it spooks the market. The stock can swing wildly because savvy investors know that a brain drain like this eventually, inevitably, hits the bottom line.
Now, What makes all this internal turmoil so incredibly dangerous is the timing. This exodus isn't happening in a vacuum when things are easy. No, it's all going down just as Tesla is facing its most intense, most difficult challenges ever from the outside world. Let's just look at how these problems stack up. You've got all these reports of Cybertruck troubles, and the head of engineering is gone. The company is betting its entire future on full self-driving, but the leadership in that area is in constant churn. You're facing brutal, intense competition from other EV makers, but your top policy and financial experts have already left. And maybe the most dangerous thing of all, as that inner circle of trusted advisors shrinks, you run the very real risk of creating an echo chamber, a place where the leader is surrounded only by yes men, and there's no one left to say, hey, maybe this is a bad idea.
So when you put it all together, you take the high-profile departures, you look at the underlying causes, and you see the dangerous consequences, you're left with one fundamental and honestly kind of scary question that just hangs over everything.
So the question really isn't just who's going to leave next anymore. It's evolved. The real question, the one that truly defines Tesla's future from this point on, has become much, much more urgent. With the architects gone, who's left to steer the ship? Who's left to save this thing? That is the multi-trillion-dollar question. And for now, there's no easy answer in sight.